Hello, if you're seeing this later, I'm actually starting it a few minutes early just so I can get it up and going and on my tablet. That's mystery fun number 2, okay. Hopefully I put it in the right place. There we go, okay. All right, so I wonder, how many people are working on masks right now? This is one I'm working on for a friend. I just delivered some to Joanne, so yes, I do some of them for free, of course, and a few for friends and family. But generally, I try not to make it my sole all day, every day thing, because as much as I want to help, there are so many people making these masks right now, and I know they're doing it all for free, most of them, and they're just getting them over to the hospitals and getting it done. Hey, Miss Amanda, how are you? I was just talking about my mask because I'm on just a little bit early, so I'm just kind of finishing up just one side of the elastic. And I'm trying to make sure it stays in there nice and tight so it doesn't come out. So how's everybody doing today? I think it must be the lights, because the minute I get in front of the lights, my eyes start watering. Ugh. How is life over in Georgia, Miss Amanda? Is it still chilly over there? Because it's warming up here finally. How's everybody doing? Just shared getting ready to cook, moms. Oh, yeah. I was going to call her while I was out and wish her a happy birthday. Of course, I did that online last night, but I don't know if she saw it. Hey, Miss Bella, how are you? I keep wanting to call you Miss Melinda, sorry. But you'll always be Mel to me. All right, just one last little strap here, and then we're going to get onto our block. Did everybody see the instructions I put on the internet last night for the? Hang on, let me check this real quick. I'm usually very good about following up behind myself here. Come on, be a good little piece of thread. Okay. So I usually go behind and just make sure that both sides are relatively the same before I start stitching it down, because once you get it stitched down, when you cut elastic apart, it's kind of a pain. It's worse than trying to pull apart seams. I'll tell you though, when I was doing handbags for a friend, this was back when I'd first moved back home from South Carolina to Florida, and I was making handbags for a little bit of extra cash. And we used a nylon thread. I mean, literally like the fiber optic type nylon thread, real thin. And man, oh man, you made a mistake with that. All you had to do is pop the thread in one spot, and that stuff just ripped right apart. It was great, but it did hold. So unless you were trying to rip it apart, you were in luck, because the seam would hold really, really well. Of course, you didn't want to get it really hot or pop that thread. So those are really nice, but I don't use that kind of thread unless it's something that calls for it. The other day I actually used it on May's little mermaid costume. God, I can't believe I just caught my fingers in my scissors. That's what I get for trying to do two things at once. Hello, Miss Erin. How are you? Let's see. Oh, now I'm gonna have a. Where did my thread? I actually did cut myself with my scissors. Can you believe it? I haven't done that in like forever. Hang on just a second. Let me go run and get a Band-Aid. Sorry about that. But I know we all have done it once or twice in our lifetimes, right? Thanks, Miss Amanda. I for sure appreciate you sharing that. And if anybody else wants to share, take a moment. Try to watch out, because every once in a while when I try to share something, I have wound up doing a watch. That's not what you want to do, because you want them to be able to comment and post live. So make sure you're sharing the actual video and not the watch. Okay. All right. Let's see if I got that down. Yeah. Sorry about that. I was holding my scissors at the same time I was trying to do something. When I did, I wound up cutting myself, which Lord knows I poked myself plenty of times. All right. Let me go clean this up real quick. I will wait till later to finish up these cute little masks I've been working on. All right, so does everybody have the instructions that I put on the internet? Oh, excuse me. Belching still today. What's up with that? All right, let me get all this stuff out of the way and we can get started. So if you can see behind me right there, that is the actual block we're going to do tonight. There is a specific name for it. Lattice? No, I don't think that's right. I'll find out. But there is a specific name, and I'll make sure that we have what we need to make sure we can name every single block. All right, sorry about that. Okay. Get all that stuff out of the way. So one of the things you're going to need today is you're going to need 4 of your jelly roll strips cut down to 18 inches long of the darks and 4 of the lights. So let me just drop that up there for you real quick. It's kind of backwards, but hopefully you can read it backwards. 4 2.5 by 18 of light and 4 2.5 by 18 of darks. Now, one of the reason I had you do that instead of just going ahead and cutting them the right lengths is because I want to show you how to strip piece. Or how to, yeah, it's still strip piecing. All right, so let's grab my 4 and 4. Let's see, where did I put mine? Well, I was sure I'd gone ahead and cut them last night, or maybe I didn't. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, so I have okay, so I said 18, but really you can cut the strip of 42.5, and that should make it 22. If you're trying to like save on a little bit of fabric, that's why I put 18 inches, because that'll still give you another 6 or 8 inches of fabric that you can use later on. If you cut it like this, then you're going to wind up not having a whole lot, maybe 2 or 3 pieces you can use. Two, 4, I do need that one and that one. It's okay, because I got 4 of the dark, 4 of the light. It's going to go with that, it's going to go with that, it's going to go with that. And this is going with this, light, light, and light. Okay, so I'm sticking with my fabric everywhere. Help me. I'm drowning in fabric. Okay. All right. So I have my 4 pieces. So here's what we're going to do. Now, I worked this out last night. I do all the patterns the night before just to make sure that I've got all the kinks figured out. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 2 of your darks and you're going to sew them together. 1/4 inch seam. We're pretty much always going to have a 1/4 inch seam. That part's not going to change. I cannot see it. Cannot see. Bella, what's missing? What can't you see, sweetie? If part of the problem you can't see is that the writing at the bottom, make sure you move the writing out of the way, okay? Well, is that a little better? Cut off the top of my head, that's okay. We can do that. Alrighty, I'm feeling today I'm going to be Mishap City. Just want to make sure I'm not bleeding through my Band-Aid. Okay. Yeah, as usual, my iron's not on. It's one of those kinds, it's the self thingy where it shuts off, which is great, but it can be a bit of a pain because then all of a sudden you're trying to iron something and your iron's not on. The block. Oh, well, let me bring the block closer. Okay. This is the block we are doing today. This is the one I did last night. And trust me, I actually had to rip it out. So I will show you the mistakes I made so that you can see. Okay, get that back up there. Trying to see if I have my mistakes over here. They got to be over here somewhere. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, I'll find them later. Alrighty, iron should be nice and hot. Let me get these little ends curled down, because as it turns out, both ends are curled. So all I need is one end that's not curled, because you're going to wind up cutting off the rest of it. Okay, so go ahead and take your two dark strips, the two not contrasting, but they're both dark, and that's good. And you're going to sew those together. And then if you go ahead and put these together like this, then you can just go ahead and get them all one right behind the other. That's not the light one. Where's my light one? Is it 18 inches? Let me see. If it's just 18 inches, that will just work. All right. So I have my two darks, and these are going to be my two lights. And I decided to use the accent color as one of my strips. So I still have, my accents are still cut in the 2.5. I didn't cut them all down to a quarter, 1.25 inch or 1.5 inch. So this is also a jelly roll cut as well. All right. So we're going to take, and let's go ahead and sew those together. Oh, let me put that with my other stuff. And just kind of have them all there. Oops, sorry about that. Come this way, follow me. Okay, 1/4 inch seam. I need to drop my foot, hang on. I'm gonna put my 1/4 inch foot back on. Okay. Now you want this, if you need to, stop and go ahead and pin it. Oh, yeah, sure enough. Siri did not rethread my needle. And where did it go? There it is. Okay. And since the tip is almost always frayed, I'm wearing my glasses. There's that pair, there's that pair. There we go. There's my glasses. Okay. Yep, made it through. I do have a needle threader on here, but I did something to it, so it only needle threads about half the time. So this is me threading my needle. Okay, so you just want to try and make sure that that seam is consistent. So keep it butted up against that 1/4 inch seam, foot against that 1/4 inch, and just adjust it as you need to. Keeping in mind that, believe it or not, these jelly rolls are not necessarily straight. All right. I'll crank up my speed a little bit. Stop for a second because I see it starting to slide off there. Okay. We need some music when we're doing this stuff, because you just, you know, But then you never know what kind of royalties and things you have to run into with, you know, music playing in the background or whatever. Okay. Pull that off of there and go ahead and do the next one. And if you do them the same, like if your light is still on top and your dark is, the lighter of the two darks is still on top and the dark is on the bottom, that would be better than, because otherwise you're going to have to flip it around and your other end might not be as straight. Ooh. Love those glasses, but man. Alright, I see my Facebook kicked me out on my tablet again. And that's one of the reasons I don't use my tablet to do my lives, because my tablet is always kicking it off, even though it's plugged in, and shouldn't do that, it does. Which again, is probably me. I probably downloaded something that's causing it to do that. Operator error, you know how it is. Okay, so here's where you're going to want to go ahead and iron it open. And I might even say that you could iron it so that it is open in the back as well. Instead of pressing to both, you know, both seams to one side, press it open. But for the sake of time, and I was going to say it really doesn't matter, but it kind of does. It kind of does. I noticed yesterday that I was dealing with a lot of bulk. So I'm going to iron this one to one side, but I think the other one I'm going to try and iron open. Like I said, just because you know, yesterday when I was dealing with it, if you've noticed in the middle of that block, there's a lot of bulk. So for those of you who are new to sewing or call yourselves beginners, let's talk a little bit about that. So here is the centerpiece I'm talking about. And what happens is when you're stitching your seams together in the back, all the seams wind up getting together in one spot, and it creates a bulk. So to alleviate some of that bulk, you open all the seams, or you iron them all in the same direction. That's probably not going to happen. But if you open the seams and then stitch it down as you're going, you'll find that your bulk is kind of moved around so that it's not all bulked up. And this one isn't half bad. Some of the seams are down and some of the seams are open. So it just really depends. I guess I better put that back so you can see it. Okay. Hopefully my backside isn't appalling, but this is where that clapper would come in very, very handy, which I'll probably use that on the next piece. But go ahead and take a moment and iron everything open. Try not to burn up my sewing machine there. And that clapper would help with this because it doesn't get in the way. It helps to fold that seam open for you. Oh gosh, I still have all this stuff behind me too. Yeah, I've been working on mask all day today. I did have to run out. I ran to Joann's real quick. Wow, I was really surprised at the amount of people at Joann's today. I know I had to drop off some masks. So I was in there dropping off some masks, and I went in and picked up a piece of backing that I don't have in my own stash. And it was just crazy busy in there. Where is my clapper? What did I do with that thing? Oh, there it is. He's hiding. Okay, so keep in mind that all the blocks that we're doing right now, these are not my designs, okay? I've gotten most of these out of books or just kind of experimenting with. Hold on just a second. Get rid of that one. Looks like kind of an important message. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right. Okay. So I got a quick message on there, and Donna, my friend, asked me how much to sell my Macs for, and they're going for between 10 and 15, and I'm not doing a large quantity of them. That's not my thing. But for friends, family, that kind of thing, pretty much just enough to cover my cost and a little bit of my time, so about $10. So if Donna, if you're listening, about $10. But again, I'm not trying to mass produce these things. I'm just doing them for friends and family. Because my friend Bella, she is doing it to help supplement her income right now, because she, of course, is one of the people affected by this mass shutdown, and she is selling them, and she can produce them like nobody's business. I've never seen anybody that can produce the way she does. So you've probably seen her post on my site. So please, if you are interested, she can definitely help you out with that. Okay, so we got those two ironed open. That is good. Let's get those out of the way. Move on to the two light ones. And again, if you're going to start, just do it the same way. Put the darker of the light on the bottom and the lighter of the light on the top. Okay. Let's see. Stay home. I care about you too much. Aw, thank you, Marianne. And yes, I do generally stay home. I'm usually here all the time, but we do have to have groceries. And I was listening to them in the grocery store today. That was the other place I had to stop. I was listening to them in the grocery store today, and they were just pretty much surprised by how many orders they have to fill. And they're just, you know, they're overwhelmed with grocery orders, which is great because it means people are listening and they're staying home. But in the meantime, you know, when you're taking, I don't even know how many people go through a grocery store in a day, but when you take all those people and you try to fit them into all these phone orders, that's definitely a way to put people back to work, because it's apparently a lot. So I ran in, I had my mask on, I did my grocery shopping, got a few compliments on my mask, and got out of there. So I do read the Facebook post where it says, you know, get in, get what you got to get, and get out. You know, that's not the place for you to do your here, let's get out for a few minutes shopping. So I did what I did, I got out. And I encourage anybody that has to go out to do that as well. That is always a hard thing. And you know what? I saw more people out today wearing masks in Joann's and at the grocery store. So, I mean, people are conscious of it and they are wearing masks. I know that a lot of the masks that we've got are not necessarily COVID resistant, but at least it keeps you as safe as it can right now. Yeah, I think if anybody deserves to have the COVID mask, the ones that will protect them from the COVID, it should be our workers, the people who are around other people all day long, and our healthcare workers, absolutely our healthcare workers. So if there's a need to save it for somebody, I think it ought to be them. You know, I think when this thing first started, just come in. Hey, Phyllis, how are you? Welcome back. Okay, so what we're doing right now, for anybody who's just joined us, we are connecting our 4 pieces of fabric. The two darks are going together, and we're doing them, you know, dark to a little bit lighter dark. You know, you're a little bit of contrast, and then that one. Now, if you're doing like a design or something, like if you look at the one behind me, I did the solid colors, where it still had a design in it, but it was the solid colors. I put those together, and the ones that were the lighter ones, those I put together. So this is your block. You design it how you want to, but that's just how I saw that. When I saw it in the book, I thought that looked really pretty the way it was, and so I decided to go with that. Okay, let's do just a tad bit of trim in here. Get that off of there. And then we're going to open these seams up, and again, I'm going to use that clapper. And if somebody doesn't hurry up and buy this thing, I am going to wind up keeping it myself. But I do actually have one somewhere. It's actually longer than this one, but I have one somewhere. But I kind of like this one. You'll find them on my Etsy page. There's not a lot on my Etsy page right now, but I'm working on it. But you'll find these on the Etsy page. These are not for my benefit. If these sell, the money goes to someone else. Someone is trying to help supplement their income. And I've got them on there for $10. I hope I didn't mess up the price. But they're on there for $10 each. And if you buy them, I will make sure the money gets to the person that it belongs to. Because I want them to have that to help supplement their income as well. I don't do that often because otherwise you wind up with a lot of things you don't necessarily intend to have on there. Okay, so we're ironing them open. Hey, Miss Jeannie, how are you? Welcome. All right, Miss Jeannie, if you're just coming in, we are stitching together our 4 lights. So we're going to do 2, and then we'll do 2. And then we'll go back and we'll put the 4 together. And if I hadn't run into problems, this probably would have only taken me an hour last night. But like I said, I like to do these blocks ahead of time so that I can figure out, you know, what little mistakes I'm going to make and then share them with you so you don't wind up with the same mistakes. And I probably ought not to be reaching behind me like this for my iron. I'm probably going to drop this thing on me. Today is my day, my hazard day, because I feel like I'm going to wind up, I've already cut myself with the scissors. That wasn't even with the pin, that was with the scissors. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 light fabrics and we're going to put those together. Right under that needle. Okay, get it down, take a couple stitches, anchor it in there for a sec. And then I'm going to adjust. Let's see, where can we see your selection of fabrics for sale? Miss Kathy, I am very, very happy to help you with that. I don't actually have them on my website yet, but I had somebody who asked me, they said they were looking for purple batiks. I sent them a picture, and let me tell you, pictures are not easy, but I sent a picture of all the purple batiks that I had, and she selected from those what she wanted. So if you have an idea of what you would like, and you just private message me or email me at the srqquilter srqquilter@gmail.com. I can help you with that and show you, send you what fabrics you want or might like. Send you an email or a picture or whatever works. But mostly what I have are batiks, because I'm a big batik person. And the other thing I have some Riley Blake. Now those you can see on my site. And again, it's really hard because pictures just, you know, the cameras try to adjust for color. So if you're standing in front of a blue background, it tries to add yellow to help compensate for all that blue. So suddenly you go from being a very beautiful pink-skinned person to a person with very yellow skin. You look kind of like a jaundice. And unfortunately, cameras do that. You have to turn that off, and unfortunately, some of the cameras don't allow you to. So phone cameras don't really allow a whole lot of that. And then when you try to correct for it, it just makes it even more of a mess. So the ones I have on there now from the Riley Blake are so beautiful, and they have some really pretty copper shimmer in it, and you can't even see it because of that. But if there's something that you want, I can even send you a little sample of it through the mail. I know it'll take a little bit longer, but if you want to make sure it's what you want, I'm happy to send just a little sample of it in the mail so that you can get a look at it. But otherwise, and this is for everybody, just email me, you know, what colors you're looking for, email, or just send it through private message. of what kind of colors you're looking for, and I can send it to you in your email, or I can even post it online. Okay, so that's our first one, and this is going to be part of what we got up on the wall. That's the light colors. Now let's go ahead and get the dark ones done. You could put them together like this, but right now the way I have it, like on the wall, I have them like every other color. So the dark, the little bit lighter dark, and then back to dark again. But this is your block, so you do it how you like to have it done. And sometimes it's just a matter of looking at it and seeing how it looks to you. And it dropped on my Facebook again. Hold on just a second. I am completely befuddled by this. I don't know why it keeps doing this. But I use it to look at my questions and answers. Where can we... I can even kind of take you in there and do a private live session where you can look and see which ones you like. But if you just let me know when, where, whatever, I can do it with you. A personal live session, a phone call, whatever works. You know, just let me know. I'm still working on my website. It's a work in progress. My poor website lady is so inundated with work right now. I feel bad even asking her about it. Well, that and I'm a terrible customer. Okay. And trim off this up here. You can trim this off now, or you can trim it off later. In fact, when we cut it, you'll probably have better luck because it'll trim it off then. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. But I'm trying to get in the habit of trimming off my threads. Okay, so we use the clapper once again to iron open these seams. Again, I love this thing. I can't even stress to you how much I have enjoyed having one of these. I didn't even know they existed until a short time ago. And then Miss Janice brought one and demonstrated it, and I was like, wow, these things are great. Hey Lisa, how are you? Good to see you on here. Well, I mean, see your avatar pop up there. I keep up with you on Facebook. All right. Now we have both of them together. And here's what we're going to do. The very next step we're going to do is we're going to cut these into 7.5 inch lengths. You should be able to get 2 out of here. So let's come over here. And I will angle it down a little bit more so you can see more of the table. See if I can give me a little more space. Now this is where, come on, probably going to wind up with the iron cord around my ankles, which means it'll probably wind up dropping on my foot. I'm a bit of a pessimist today, I'm sorry. Okay. I need a little bit of space for this. May is out in the pool. Ashley's chasing her around in the pool. It's so sweet. I love hearing her laughter. She's such a doll baby. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure these are straight. Now, if you'll notice, when you lay this down to check out whether or not it's straight right here on the board, you're going to find it's not. And I've almost never been able to do a 2.5 inch strip jelly roll where it's actually straight. I see some wrinkled, really bad wrinkles in here. Hang on a sec. I probably should iron this first. Okay, I got my wrinkles out. All right, let's get back to this. Alrighty. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up as best I can. And that's why we're doing this at 7.5. We could have actually done it shorter and done like a 7 1/4. And that would bring us out to just about the right size block. But because of the way the jelly rolls come out. And they're very, 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 very randomly, very rarely ever completely straight. So we want to make sure that we can get this as straight as we can. Okay, I think this is as straight as it's going to get. Okay, so we're gonna cut off one end. All right, guess what? I got the wrong end over here. Let's get the right end. Although it really looks good. I hear them out there trying to get me to do something. 7.5, 7.5. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Sorry about that. Got my cutter, got my rotary cutter, and we're going to cut off a straight edge. So using my mat and my ruler, we're going to cut it off straight. Okay. Now my mat has my cutter. My ruler has a 1/2 inch on this side, and then it has 1 through 8 over here. So I'm going to turn it so that my 1/2 inch is right there, and I'm going to make sure. Okay, now I'm backwards. Okay. Now, that I put my fabric right here on the 6. So let's come over here where you can see where I'm cutting. And I wish I had it from the top, but it's not that kind of live. It only lets you move around with your camera, and I don't have a camera person. Sorry. I'm working on it. Okay, so I need 7.5. So we're going to move that to the 7.5 mark. 7 and then 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Okay, and then we're going to cut. Okay, slide that out of the way, and we're going to do one more. 7.5. Okay, slide a little bit more this way. I am my own cameraman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Okay. Now, at this point, you can stack up all 4 of them and cut them the same because it actually goes farther than 7.5 on the edges. So you're going to line them up as best as possible. And here's my 7.5. And as you can see, and I think where I want most of my, I'm going to make, if you can see mine on the back there, I'm going to do this and this. If you can see that right here at the very bottom, there's a little itty bitty, teeny tiny, little bit of blue. And then the strip was a little bit narrower. That might not be the best one to look at. Let's see. There we go. That looks a little better. Little itty bitty strip of green right here in the middle. And we're going to take that, and that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to come back over here. Angle it down a little bit more. And again, you can do right in the middle if you want to, but I want more of the dark color. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off the majority of the light because I want more dark. Dark, dark. Dark, dark, dark. So make sure you have it nice and straight on the top so that if you cut it, you're not cutting it at a weird angle. So you're going to make sure it's straight here and here, and don't worry about what it says inside. Because again, those, unfortunately, jelly rolls are not necessarily dead on accurate. Okay, so now we're going to line up that 7.5 one more time. And if you don't have one of these, just use your mat. Your mat has plenty of grid lines on it, so go ahead and use your mat. Hey, Miss Sheila, how are you? How's your day going? Getting a lot of masks done? Any more quilts done? Okay. We have just mass cut all 4 blocks at one time. And this is what we have left over. This is what you would have. This is what you would have if you did the 18 inches. I went ahead and cut my jelly roll in half, that jelly roll strip in half, and so I had lots of extras left over. Okay. So here's what's next. I would say use the light side of your fabric because you're going to need to do some marking. You can grab a pen. Fission makes a really nice pen that allows you to mark on there, and then when you iron, you just iron it out. You have a couple options here. You can make your first line down the center and then mark on both sides of it. They do make, let me see if I have mine in here. Not in there. Not in this one. Not in there. All right, well, somewhere in my pile of sewing stuff, they actually make a half-inch wide ruler that you can lay right down the center and mark both sides. And there's even the the Lazy Susan one, which for this one is not really going to work. Well, it would. Okay. So I'm going to take my little ruler. I am going to line up my 1/4 inch mark right here and here and make sure I'm at exactly 1/4 inch. Take my pen. I have to be honest, this is just a regular pen. Now, if you want to be particular, this working on mask, Miss Sheila. Yeah, me too. That's what I was doing before this. If you want to be particular when you stitch, to make sure an accurate 1/4 inch, you want to do on this side, the left side of this line, okay? But don't worry about it. It's really not that big of an issue because we're going to be doing we're going to trim off quite a bit of it. Again, we're going to lay out this ruler right here on a 1/4 inch, right here and here, leaving a 1/4 inch gap on there. Can everybody see that? Let me. Okay, so right here, it's a 1/4 inch from the edge, and we've got it right on the very tip of the fabric, okay? And this is marking our 1/4 inch seam, and we just use the mark of whatever you use, whether it's the washable kind, the air erasable kind, a pen. I just use a pen. I'll be honest, I use a pen. Problem is, if you use an actual pen, the ink can bleed through, so just be cognizant of that. All right, now let me, as you can see, I don't have it pinned. You probably should. This is kind of like the blinker thing. You know, I don't use blinkers much either. I'm trying really hard to do better about that. My husband gets on me. So, all right. So I pinned it on both sides. So now if I pick it up and move it over to here, to my sewing machine, get this out of the way so we can see. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in there. And tilt it up a little bit. Give me just a second. See if I can get a little bit closer. That way you can see it. Okay. Alrighty. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm going to stitch right on that line. And I'm going to be very, very careful because what's going to happen is we're going to wind up catching this little metal piece right here. Now this is where you could actually swap out this one because you don't need that 1/4 inch. In fact, it might be a bit of a hindrance, so swap it out. Okay. Now you probably see a lot less now, but just line it up and hit the foot pedal. And it should help you to guide that seam fabric right through this. Driving me crazy, sorry. Okay. Seam fabric right through there. We're going to do this one. Sometimes what I do is I just pull it out and start again on the other side. And watch out for those pins. That's usually where I catch myself, is running my hands over the fabric, and then I catch a pin. And trust me, it hurts. I'm not oblivious to pain, I just have a high threshold for it. All right, so there we go. That's our first one. And as you can see, I just stitched right down it. And I have a little loop where all I did is I pulled it out and started on the other side. All right, so let's come back over here. All right, now for the next interesting part, we're gonna move that out of the way for a second. This one, really all you need to do is you just need to go straight down. But if you're not 100% sure you're gonna be able to get that thing in there without maybe going off and hitting a seam, go ahead and put a ruler down. It doesn't have to be exact. You just want to cut the two pieces apart, okay? Okay, so this is where I messed up the last time. I actually, you know what? I bet I don't have it because I think I pulled it apart and redid it. Wait, let me see. Maybe. Maybe, baby, I'll be true. Maybe, baby. Okay, never mind. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so when I was working on it yesterday, I actually had to pull it apart because the block that I made, I needed it. So, and I didn't have another strip of fabric like that. So I actually pulled it all apart and put it back together. So when you're putting these together, you want these sections to be even with each other. Now, when I mean that, what I mean is you want the seams to be going the same direction, okay, up and up. The other day I thought, oh, well, I'll try it differently. So I turned it this way, and then when I cut it apart and went to lay out the seams, guess what? The seams were going in the same direction. I need them going at an L angle. And when you put them like that, they did not. So remember that your seams, when you do this, need to be going in the same direction, just like that. So you're going to stitch them across in this, like this, with the seams going in the same direction, because when they come out, they're going to come out in a cute little L. Isn't that adorable? Got a nice little L shape going on there. And you need those, and they need to all be going in the same direction. Okay? So make sure if you're doing it, you do them the same way every time. So what we did, this direction, so you're going to want to sew this way. Okay, everybody following me? Or this way. Same thing, just I've got the black on the top. Now you could turn it around and see how it looks that way. You know, this is a great way to do that. Hey, Miss Janice, how are you today? Hang on, my stretch leaf mat is getting away from me. I even put the little ruggy thing underneath and it's still wanting to slide away from me. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to flip this over this way. We know which way we want to go. We want where we want it at. So we're going to turn it down so you can see. Find my ruler. You know, they call Monk the defective detective. I feel like I'm kind of like the messy sewist. So we have the modern sewist over there in Sarasota, but I'm the messy sewist, because if you ever walk into my studio, it is a disaster. I mean, I have stuff everywhere and I can't find anything. It's not like I'm an organized mess. I'm just a mess. It's a disaster no matter what I'm doing. Sometimes if you use your fingernails, you can kind of get your fabric to move, especially if it's managed to slide away from you. Okay, again, we're going to put it on the 1/4 inch seam right here at the tip, down there and here, and check and recheck and make sure it didn't slide away on you. Hold it down, make your marks. And remember, we're drawing on the light side because at least on the light side you can see it. All right. I'm going to make a quick check here. All I'm going to do real quick is just to make sure that my pieces are working in the right direction. Okay, yep. Okay, everything looks good. All right, let's take it over here and stitch it down. I got a bigger table, and all that meant was just I had more room to cover things up. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get that started. With your seams folded open, it also makes it a lot easier to get over the top of these seams as well. So everybody, what's for dinner tonight? I know we're having fish tonight. I decided it's going to be fish. I think I have some frozen flounder in there. I just haven't decided if we're going to grill it or if we're going to slightly saute it and put it in the oven for the last couple of minutes. I'll figure that part out when I get there. Okay. Snip, snip. Pin, pin. Alrighty. And I'm just using the ruler so I don't wind up cutting over one of my seams. I have done that before too. Okay, next up, we're going to, once again, I'm going to put that right on top of here, is we're going to iron these open. Let's get this out of the way. Make sure my iron's on, because it will help to alleviate some of that bulk. Now, you might be thinking, wow, there's a lot to this, and really there's not. Once you get one done and you figure out how it goes, all the rest would fall into line. But we're only doing one right now. But I have seen this in a quilt where the whole thing is this particular block, and it's beautiful. But our goal is to try to see how many jelly roll, see, I wasn't supposed to iron back and forth, see how many jelly roll blocks we can put together into a quilt, whether we make a little wall hanging or a lap, or maybe you want to try and do something a little more broader and go with maybe a twin. That's kind of up to you. All right, nobody said anything about what they're going to have for dinner. Come on, y'all. Talk to me. Both strips laid together, top sides up. Only when cutting, Phyllis. Only when I cut it. When I stitched it together, it's right sides together. Laid together with top sides up. Yeah, when we're sewing it, it is actually right sides together. Now, when I cut it, I just cut it with them together. It didn't matter whether it was right up or down, because what we needed was a 1/4 inch block. I'm sorry, a 7.5 inch block, which we still have a little cutting to do. We probably should have gone ahead and done that, but that's okay. Okay. Like I said, if you're in need of one of these clappers here, you'll find those on my Etsy page. I have 3 of them for sale right now. Really cute. All 3 of them are cute. And they're a lot less expensive than you will find on most of the websites. Of course, they are handmade and they're very, very cute. Okay. All right. So the very next thing we need to do is we actually need to size this down. Okay. So we know, well, actually, no, it shouldn't. Well, let's see. We need to be 6.5, and it is definitely not 6.5. It is a little bit more than that. Okay, so here's where this is going to come in handy. And you should be able to find that on most of your rulers. They'll have little extra guides in there for this. What I'm looking for is the one that goes from point to point. See here? Goes from point all the way to point. That's the one I'm going to use. And what I need is I need a 6.5 inch block. When we're done with this, this is what I need. So we've got it all sewn out, got everything we need, and now we just need to cut it. And you could probably do more than one at a time, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because if you make a mistake on one, you make a mistake on both. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. So you're going to use that line, and you're going to line it up right down the middle. And one thing I noticed is that the line is not always straight. Now on this particular block it is, which surprises me. Okay, so now this is where the turntable comes in handy, because you're going to be turning this. I don't know about you, but I can do this and I can do that, but I can't do this. I can't cut on an angle like that. And with my luck, I would probably cut off a very important appendage. Okay, so we're just going to make sure this is on there. Okay, there's that point, and that's what we're most worried about, is making sure that it gets here and here. Okay, and so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. This finished block is going to be 6.5 inches. I know we started out with 7.5, but that's so that we could cut it down and make it right, make it even. Okay, so as long as our points are good, go ahead and cut off the one side here. Turn. Yeah, that's not wanting to turn. Get that back up there. Close that. Reline this up real quick. Okay. All right, take that piece off. And then we're going to turn it around. And we're going to use that line one more time. And this is neat because this gives you an opportunity to see what it's like. Ooh, make sure you got the right one. This gives you an opportunity to see what it's like using that grid line. And you can wind up using that a lot. So we are going to go to the 6.5 inch mark. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. And this is the last of that particular block. And with my little lazy Susan, I of course could have turned it like this. Okay, one block down, and the other should go just as quick. I can get you more. Yes, ma'am. As soon as I get those sold, you better get me more, because I might need them. Especially for one for myself, because I can't seem to find mine. Okay. So again, I'm really looking right here. I want to make sure that that center line, it goes right down the center of that block. And then I'm going to cut here. And if you have a 6.5 inch ruler, that's even better, because then all you have to do is just keep turning it. Remember to close your blade. And you want to line up over here at the 6 inch mark. And then you should have your 6.5. That's the half is on the edge right here. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. Okay. What it is, we want this block to turn out to be, when it's finished, all 4 pieces are together, we want it to turn out to be a 12 inch block. And the only way to do that is for these to be 6.5. And if you're a beginner, the reason that I know in your head you're thinking 6.5, but that's when you're done, you're 13. No, because when you stitch down that 1/4 inch on both sides, you're taking off a full 1/2 inch. Okay. All right. I am so surprised. Last night when I was working on this, the one I was working on, it was kind of like, woo, wavy in the middle. Of course, that's probably just me, but shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, so I need to recut. And this is another thing I like about that Quilter Select rulers, is because it holds that fabric down for you so that your ruler's not sliding all over the place. I love that. I love that about these rulers. And they are expensive, because when I buy one, it is definitely an investment, and I put it to good use. So as far as I'm concerned, it's worth the money, but you will definitely pay through the nose for it. But any of the good ones usually are expensive. Okay. And then we're going to cut this one off, and we only have one more to go, and then we can put them together. All right, how are we doing on time? Ooh, yep, that's going to be tight. Oh, come on. It's a brand new blade, too. I don't know why it's giving me a hard time. All right, that one. And then let's do this one real quick. And like I said, you could do this all 4 at the same time, but I don't recommend it. is just way too dangerous. Wow, these lined right up. Oh my gosh, I'm like, you can knock me over with a feather right now. They never do that. Might be just because I'm afraid to go off the end of my thing. I actually have a much larger one that I got from Martelli. Love, love, love Martelli. But it's really big, and as you can tell, I don't have a lot of space on my table right now because I am the messy sewist. I am not the modern sewist, I am the messy sewist. Okay. Alrighty. All four. Yeah, come on. You don't want to run back over like that either. So don't do what I do. Sort of. Okay. Now we have all four done, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that I didn't mess this up. And here's where I'm definitely going to use some pins. Okay, let's get a little bit closer. Hi. All right. Here's where we are down to the last step. We're going to put two together, and then two together, and then two together. So here's what you're going to do. The first two you put together, you're going to do it so that your dark side is either on this side or on this side. You decide how you want it. I think either way it's the same thing. Okay. So your dark side, your light side. And then your other one, you're going to put it down here and you're going to do the same thing. Basically, it's a pinwheel. But it's not called a pinwheel. It's called something else. And I will find out what the name is. I meant to write it down, but I forgot. So I will make sure I have it on there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to flip this one over this way, and we're going to pin on this side. And you want to pin it just because you want to remember what side you're stitching on. And you want to match up those edges and pin it down. Okay? And then we're going to do this one the same way. Match up those edges, especially that seam. Match up that seam. It's going to be important. All the way down to the end. And for whatever reason, those stupid wrinkles don't want to come out. All right, let me check my edge on this side, make sure I got it in there good. Okay. And amazingly enough, yesterday, this block turned out right on. I mean, it was right on the money. I was so surprised because sometimes I don't have that kind of luck. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it just does not go that way for me. And that's where you just kind of fudge in seams and stuff. And you know what? That's okay. Everybody does it. Okay, so let's get this stitch down here. I almost would rather start at the top. So let's flip this around this way. Make sure my seam stays together. I'm going to recheck that one at the top, just to make sure my edges came together. Yep, they did. All right. And I'm going to change out my foot because we are back to the 1/4 inch. Okay. You do not have to keep flipping this back and forth if you know how to stitch on your 1/4 inch. So this is not my 1/4 inch, it's my regular foot. And if I come to right here on the very edge, just right here to the very edge of the clear part, that's a 1/4 inch. Okay. So if you can sew like that, go have at it, honestly, because that is a good way to do that. So you don't have to keep switching back and forth or buy a new foot. And I'm one of those people who get suckered into buying new feet. I love feet. Feet for the sewing machine, that is. Because real feet, like people feet, no, not so much. Hey, Bella, you're back. Welcome back. How is the mask business going, or mask composition? Sometimes it gets caught. Just move it down just a little bit more. I know Bella's been hard at work making masks. She's had so many orders for masks, and I just can't believe how well she can keep up with that. I can't. That's just not in me. So I leave that to her. She's the mask person. I do a few for the Joannes and a few for family and friends, and I'm good after that. Alrighty. So then we're going to once more open these up. We're going to iron those seams open. This won't take but one more minute. And again, what we are is we're helping to alleviate some of that bulk at the very end over here. So by ironing them open, it's going to make that center seam so much prettier. And it's not just about the bulk, it's about how pretty it looks. And trust me, your long arm quilter person, whoever you use, she will appreciate it, because when you hit these huge hunks of fabric, you hear it. Man, you hear it. That makes a noise that just makes you cringe. Cringe, I tell you. New word. Word of the day. Cringe. Okay. We are almost done, you guys. We are down to the last of it. All right. Any questions? Because like I said, we are down to the last little bit of it. And if you have any questions, because of the lag time, it gives you an opportunity to ask questions, or maybe something I didn't explain very well, because hey, sometimes I get going and I forget simple instructions that later on, are actually very important. So if you have a question or something didn't make sense, please contact me. Let's talk about it now before we jump offline. Okay, so here's where you want to take one moment and do your best to get it right in there. Okay, so what I have done is I have taken a pen, and I probably need my glasses for this. Actually, I think I dropped them in here. Yes, I did. In my little handy dandy pocket. Okay, so take a pen, and this should be 1/4 inch from the edge. Okay. Take your pen, top and bottom, because you want that together. This is what's going to make your center. So pin that together. Make sure your edges on here are nice. And then check your other side as well. And I hope to have my scrappy quilt quilted. I would like to have that finished in the next day or two, just so I can show it to you. I actually have an idea of what I want to do, and it'll be the perfect thing to do it with. Not really, because there's so many different fabrics, but it'll be neat. I can at least play with that one, and if I make a mistake, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so I have my edges together. I make sure they look good, and then I'm going to start stitching. Got my 1/4 inch seam in there. We're almost done, guys. How are we doing? How's dinner coming? Got husbands growling at you yet? I know it's still really early. For this one, because my length on my needle is long enough, I'm actually going to go ahead and run over this pin and hopefully not catch it. Because again, I really, really, really want it to catch it just right. So if I leave it in, it's more likely to hit it just perfect. Okay. I'm going to look for you to do. Let me see. How did I do? Ooh, not bad. Ooh, not bad. Okay. Here we go. Haven't ironed it yet, but here's what it looks like. This is your next block. This is block number 2 of your Jelly Roll quilt, mystery quilt that we are working on together. So if you decide that you want to do this, you can pull this out of your scrap fabric. You can run down and hopefully you still see Miss Joanne's open and get some of those. I think their pre-cuts are on sale right now, so you might get lucky. And we can sew along and do this. Okay, I will have the next clues on tonight between 8 and 10 o'clock. Again, I like to kind of sew them out and see how they're going to do before I decide which one it's going to be, because I want to try and find something that's simple that we can do in the 1 hour and 7 minutes that we have together. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, private message me. Maybe it's about the pattern, maybe it's about something else. I am here for you. Mary Ann, I just need to know what kind of machine you have so I can help you. But if you want to, you can always go right on here and ask a question. And even if I don't know what it is, some of the other ladies really do. Like, I'm not a Viking or a FAF person, but there are Viking FAF people on here. Bernina, they are on here, and they would be able to help you. Also, fabrics, if you want fabrics, private message me, tell me what colors you're looking for. That's usually the biggest problem for me when I go online. There are so many colors, but if I was able to tell somebody this is what I'm looking for, and they show me a line of fabrics, then it would make my life so much easier. And so that's what I want to do for you. Tell me what you're looking for, or if you just want to look around, we can do a live session together where I can show you what I have, and you can tell me whether or not you like that, or to stop, or go back, or whatever. Also, don't forget, we are still doing the drawing. So private message me or email me your email address, either to the private message on my SRQ Quilter, or my email address is srqquilter@gmail.com. srqquilter@gmail.com. So send me your email and I'll put you in for that drawing. I've had some people joined up or put in for the drawing even before we got started on this one. I had some people that did yesterday, so make sure you're joining. Even if you've already sent me your email, just send me another message and say, put me in the drawing. So if I already have it, then I know what email I need to have for that, okay? All right, and have not picked out the drawing yet, but it'll be nice, I promise. All right, any other questions? Hey, Miss Tabitha, glad you could join us, but you did catch us at the end. We finished up at 4:30, and we're just running a little bit late today. Any more questions I can help you with? If you can't think of it right now, just like I said, email me or send me a private message through here, through my SRQ Quilter Facebook, and I can definitely get back to you. And yes, I have lots of batik fabrics. They are washable, just low temp dry. That's the one thing you want to remember. And a lot of times people don't dry them all the way and just let them air dry that last little bit. Or I know some people that actually iron them dry. But either way, I do have some very nice fabrics, and I would love to share them with you. Let me know. You guys have been wonderful. I hope you have a wonderful evening and have a safe day. And thank you. Thank you for joining me. And tomorrow we're going to have number 3. So tomorrow's Friday. We'll do Friday, Saturday. Sunday is my day off. I take that for myself. And then we'll start back up again on Monday, 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern Time, right here on SRQ Quilter's Facebook page. All right, thank you guys. It's been wonderful hanging with you today. Yes, Tabitha, turn on my notifications so you know when I come on. All right, you guys are fabulous. Mwah.